Hey entrepreneurs, it's AJ and welcome back to Business as Unusual, practical motivation during uncertain times. Today's topic is evolutionary biology for organizations. Now, before you slap me for throwing so much scientific jargon at you so quickly in this video, please bear with me. There is a really important business lesson at the end of it. So let me explain. I have been fascinated with the sources of quotes, and most professional change management speakers, some futurists, some leadership speakers, at the end of their presentation, they close on a beautiful quote by naturalist Charles Darwin. And the quote goes something like this: "It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the ones that adapt to change." Beautiful. Just simply beautiful. We have to change. We have to change. I love it. Yay. Here's the thing. That makes no freaking sense whatsoever. Right? It just doesn't make sense. I mean, what are we talking about adaptability here? Charles Darwin was a naturalist, right? He studied nature, he studied biology, he studied evolution of biology, okay? And at the time that he was alleged to have said it, this quote, he was studying birds, the origin of species, and he was focusing on particular birds and the adaptability of these birds. So how does a bird adapt? Like, it can't go out to school and take a class and, career transition or anything like that. So we're possibly talking about species adaptability. And how does a species adapt? Well, it adapts through mating. And how do you mate? Well, only the survivors mate. And how do you survive? Well, you need two things. You need food, and you need to be able to manage your threats. Very good. And so how do you get food and how do you manage your threats? Well, you need strength and you need intelligence. So the whole thing just doesn't make sense. And I spent a few hours today investing in trying to map it all out. And it didn't make sense to me. And so that's when I realized that Charles Darwin actually didn't say that. It was Leon C. McGinson, a business professor from Louisiana State University. In 1963, he gave an address and he referenced Darwin's Origins of Species work. And he didn't quote Darwin. He was talking about change and change management, and he just referenced it. Because as many speakers have done after him, well after him, centuries after him, it's really a nice little package when you close an amazing, enlightening presentation with that inspirational quote. But it's wrong, okay? It's absolutely wrong. And there are insights to be had, but we really need to be careful about what those insights are. Because there is so much mediocre thinking in the world today. And we, for an incredibly long time, haven't had this unprecedented opportunity to be able to bring new ideas, bring new ways of doing things, reimagine the way business could actually work. It's an incredible opportunity. And as I say in my keynote, a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. But we really have to push beyond this mediocre thinking, purely out of survival. So in yesterday's episode, I shared my perspective on a bleak future for Australia because there is so much limited thinking in this country. And in fact, globally, there's so much limited thinking, but I can only speak for Australia. And it worries me. We have this incredible opportunity, but it's going to be wasted unless you, watching this video, really re-examines what we could do, reimagine how business could be done, and create new opportunities to do these things. And that's so exciting. So I just wanted to share with you, again, another Mythbuster video because it's so important. And let me take that just a little bit step further to really drive home this point about mediocre thinking out there. So the other day on LinkedIn, I responded to a post by a LinkedIn news editor who's a connection of mine, and she's fantastic. And she wanted examples of kindness during all the COVIDness out there. So I shared the example of my friends in Darwin, Benjamin and Nilesh, who are international students, and they created the Kindness Shack, which basically as soon as the COVIDness hit, all these international students had no income. They all lost their jobs. They had no income. They were starving. And so these guys came together and created the Kindness Shake, which is basically offering free food, a couple of meals for students and then other people too. And they travel all around Darwin and Palmerston and they feed people. Incredible kindness and incredible generosity just to allow these students to function. And I think it's a great initiative. I really do. But some nurry today wrote in and said, this is ridiculous. International students need to go back to where they came from. There's no jobs here in Australia, and this is why the unemployment rate is so out of control in this country. So they need to leave. They need to leave right now. That's the kind of thinking that's out there. Because that individual, and I do admire his passion and his delusionalness, but the reality is he's looking at a very narrow slice of the whole picture out there. And he is equating unemployment to a lack of jobs. Whereas if you look at it as a lack of deployed resources, all of a sudden you start to think differently and opportunities open up. For example, let's say for shits and giggles, one of those unemployed students gets a meal from the Kindness Shake. And they're allowed to stay, they are able to stay in Australia and continue. And once things ease up, they get a job. And in fact, they continue to learn and they love Australia so much. They love the culture, they love the people. They realize that, they want to make a life here in this country. And they start their first job and let's say they're not that happy in this job. But they decide, you know what, I'm going to start my own business. And so they do. And their business goes incredible. And unfortunately, they can't handle the demand. So what does the student do? The student decides to take on help. And so they create opportunities for others to join this business, either through independent contracting or employee type situations. And the business continues to grow and creates more opportunities for people out there, all from one person who received a meal during this time, and it allowed them to stay and continue. That's magical. And that's what I mean by limited, mediocre thinking out there needs to be abolished. We all have this incredible opportunity to elevate thinking and go forth and really change the way the world works and leave this world a little bit better than when we first found it. And that's my point. All right, so see, I told you there was a good lesson at the end of it, right? So please, entrepreneurs, if you're watching this, I really appreciate your comments, your likes. For someone like me trying to bring new thinking to re-educate and reimagine the way the world works means the world to me. Every comment, every like, every just private message you guys all send me, because it's nice to know my work impacts people. Because it's not a very kind world out there. So thank you once again for supporting this series and sharing it and elevating thinking. All right, entrepreneurs, that's me done. My name's AJ Kulatunga. Thanks for watching these videos and the series, and I look forward to serving you in these times of business as unusual. Take care. And stop quoting Charles Darwin. That would have been such a mic drop moment if I didn't screw up Charles Darwin. Can't win them all. Thanks, entrepreneurs.